What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Global Speedrun Association. It's LimCube here together with Tischl with another Super Mario Any Percent tournament race. Today between negold and LilAggy, two very skilled runners of this game. And yeah, I'm here with Tischl. What's up, Tischl?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It is going great. Just got home from Gamescom, had a great gaming day, and I'm looking forward to continue this one with this race. So
Awesome.
pretty hyped. We do have both runners with us right here. I'm going to start with a short pre-race interview with LilAggy right here. LilAggy, you just recently got the 104. How
I
has
did.
how's running been going?
Not too bad. So I tried to get the 104 without nut clip, which I did successfully. So I just started
Oh,
learning that one. So we're gonna go for it tonight. Hopefully it pans
gonna
out
go
all
for
right.
it, and that's
Yeah.
that's bold, but it's obviously a potential big time swift that you can still add to like your future runs.
Yeah.
So wait, your mid 104 doesn't have nut clip?
Nope.
Oh, that's impressive, dude.
That is
Nice.
impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Negold drastically improving until he actually got the time he currently has. I don't know how much you've been playing recently, but I know when you actually got the one of you do have a 104, right?
No, I have a 105 still. I haven't PB'd.
But like a lowish 105, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
03.
Yeah. And I think when you actually improved your time, you made like huge improvements. I think you dropped down from a 107 pretty rapidly to get that 105. But have you been playing at all recently?
The last time I like seriously played SMO was like mid-June.
Hmm.
And before
boy.
today, I hadn't played in like 2 weeks.
To be honest, speedrunning is like bicycle riding, is what legends say, so you never really forget how to do the tricks. I'm counting on you, Nigold. You got this.
I believe
I don't
in you.
even remember signing up for this tournament.
Oh
You,
my
you,
god.
you got this one in the bag. But
You're seated higher.
exactly. In terms of seeding, this is our closest race we have. So huge potential for this one to be a very close one. We'll see how it actually plays out. Best of luck to you, boys. I think we're already on our side. So
Oh wait, can I go to the bathroom first?
I think so. But
All right,
leave
cool.
the call. You
Good stuff.
all right. Still,
Never change.
best of luck to you, Aggy. Obviously, best of luck to Negold once he is done with his business. But
Yeah.
at the same time, good luck again.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I just said that, Tischl, I think potentially looking at the times, this could be insanely close. Negold didn't seem to sell his skill that well at the moment.
No,
The
yeah,
same-
Nicole was. I mean, I think he hasn't been like trying to beat his time for like 2 months, but definitely like back then he was climbing really fast in the leaderboard, so he definitely
yeah.
has the skill. But also I didn't know Aggy had the mid 104 without nut clip. That's really impressive. That changes things, maybe.
I didn't know that too. And I
That's
was one,
and he said he was gonna go for it in the race. So
and that kind of
All right.
scares me though at the other side. All right, good luck, the gold. You can just leave the call and you will be counted down
All right,
on the
cool.
other group DM. But yeah, I think this really changes things because I was looking at LilAggy's time and I always knew that he was a very good runner, and it didn't seem to drop down as pretty much like all other top runners got this huge PB, including the nut clip, and I didn't know that he wasn't going for it yet. So he probably has an easy 103 potential in the future when he still runs any percent using this clip.
no, yeah, he definitely has a lot of potential. I've been watching Aggy for a long time. It seems like he just implements strats slowly, like a lot of runners do. But I think he's pretty consistent at the stuff he does. So yeah, it's definitely good for races for sure. So here we go.
Yeah, starting up right here. And I think actually LilAggy has been running this game pretty much since the start, I would say. Maybe not like the very first days of the run. At least I didn't know of him back then, but I do remember his stream very early on, like
Yeah,
from the early days.
for sure. Yeah.
So
So
definitely one
yeah,
of the runners with the most experience, I guess.
yeah. He also uses Joy-Cons. It's not easy to find players with Joy-Cons on the top level. Not because Joy-Cons are necessarily worse than Pro Controller. It's just a matter of preference. But most top runners use Joy-Cons. We have a few in the top 10, like Goryuya and Fer that uses Joy-Cons. LilAggy is another Joy-Cons player.
We've recently just looked at Joy-Cons more and more because we always knew they have the potential to be the better / faster controller in the future because they allow us this down throw strat, which in some cases can be really helpful to save time with. And also recently we have been looking into rolling. It seems like the Joy-Con motion control is more responsive, so you can get more rolls in, which doesn't necessarily mean you get more speed, but when you roll up a slope, for example, having basically a roll input get through every time is really helpful. While both having a lot of
yeah, both having trouble capturing the frog and skipping the cutscene. Interesting. Maybe some nerves playing there. But yeah, back to the Joy-Cons. I actually used to run on Joy-Cons. When I got my first 104, I was still running on Joy-Cons. And when I transitioned to Pro Controller, I didn't really notice that big of a difference. But I use Joy-Cons with the grip, so basically like the controller mode. And the motions felt exactly the same with the Pro Controller, with the only difference that you cannot do down throw, right? But maybe when you play with the Joy-Con separated, it is different. I don't know.
Yeah, I think separated is what most people do. At least Fur definitely does separated Joy-Cons. I think Oyua does it as well. Which, for some reason, I myself have an easier time rolling and get more consistent rolls, especially when rolling up slows. But both runners actually here missing left side, having a bit of trouble here at the start of Cap Kingdom, which is obviously not a big deal in the scheme of Cap Kingdom, but when you actually get nervous in this kingdom, with FMS coming up, one of the biggest tricks in the run, can be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean the early game in SMO is pretty brutal, especially in a race if you're nervous. Left side, one of the hardest jumps in the game. I mean nowadays runners make it seem trivial, but it's definitely not trivial at all. And FMS is sometimes feels like a coin flip, so we'll see. I think both runners are 1.0, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Negold notoriously going for the single jump at the start there and was a bit impatient there. I think he could have made that FMS work, but gets it, I think, second try, so definitely still good to go.
LilAggy got it first try. Yeah, Negold using a spin throw just to ensure he made it to the other side. You don't really need the spin jump in the air, the rainbow spin. But I mean, it's fine. Just playing it safe. It's okay.
Yeah, and both making similar mistakes. Actually, both missing dino skip.
This is funny now. Both of them having issues with the frog. Both of them missing left side, and now both of them having issues with dinos. And this is interesting because Negold mentioned he hasn't been playing the game, and this is exactly the kind of stuff that you forget when you don't play the game, because dino skip is my god, dino skip is not necessarily something hard, but it's those little things that you forget if you just don't keep playing the game. Oh my god, he what is he doing?
There's no way.
Oh wow, is he? He's doing the two-player strat. I dig it. So that's actually the route that the two-player do, but they do some Capuchin and Ingas to get up there quickly. But I mean, I don't know. I guess
that was
works.
obviously still faster than doing the 2D section, because the 2D section has like this animation where the rocks break. But yeah, I'm not sure if it wouldn't have been better. Maybe it was actually faster to do that than to back up the dino fully again, if you just didn't feel it. I was actually scared for a moment that he wasn't on version 1.10 there for a second, because it looked like on the second attempt with the dino skip, the boss fight...
The boss wasn't there?
Yeah, because he came super close, but the boss fight didn't trigger, and I was scared because on version 1.1 and 1.2 you can do the FMS, but the boss fight wouldn't trigger. But
I mean, I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows, but yeah, maybe he updated and forgot. I don't know. I mean, I still am surprised, like the confidence with he did the other stuff. He's just like
that's
went
interesting.
For it
I've never
doubting.
seen that actually.
It's definitely not the first time that he does that, for sure.
No, for sure not.
Okay, so that's gonna give him. It's gonna be Aggy the lead, by quite a bit actually. Probably like 20 to 30 seconds, I'd say.
Aggy also doing the chest moon clip strat there, which is a recent optimization. Not sure if Negold hasn't played in basically since June or July. He's probably gonna have a little bit of trouble with it if he even learned it, because that's pretty much exactly when we even found that strat. So he might just go for the old version where you just grab the moon.
We'll see.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if he does wall jump less going out. I think he tried,
Oh.
but bonked his head. This jump is actually pretty tricky. All right, wall jump. It's okay. Let's get out of here. I
Yep.
respect it.
I think he did actually get the wall jump at the start, but he got like this wall kick downwards that you can somehow get in the snow bridge. So he couldn't even make it back up.
Yeah. Yeah, physics in this game sometimes are kind of weird with slopes and like angled walls, for sure.
Exactly. Well, LilAggy heading into sand, and because the boss fight actually did trigger for negold, we do know that both of them are 100% on version 1.0. So they will definitely both be going for swing slip. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure of it. So no routing changes here. I mean, we might see a difference in between double clip and single clip. Don't know what these runners usually do in their attempts.
Yeah, so let's not forget about the screenshot moons. The first one is gonna be in lake, so still some time for the first screenshot. Remember, the runners have to take some screenshots just to prove that the run is live. Just an anti-cheating measure in the tournament. I already had one strike because I forgot in my race. Good job, Tisha.
Uh, it's happened to a lot of the runners because it's super new. It's the first time we've ever done that, but I think as we get used to it, it's a very nice way and a very easy way, in my opinion, to assure fair gameplay.
Yeah, what happened to me was that I failed snowdram. I think I had a really bad snow in the race, and I was completely tilted, and I completely forgot I had to take screenshots in seaside. So I don't know. You really, I mean, it's not hard to do it like technically, like mechanically. It's just pressing a button during the moon animation, but like you need to be aware. You need to think about it, and during the race it can be hard. So. I think it's also what you say. Like we're not used to it. Like the more races we play with this ruling, it's gonna be second nature down the road.
LilAggy getting Dram, getting this
Nice.
moon in probably one of the fastest ways you can get. Not opting for the potential theoretical fastest route where you skip that crate and do nodes at the end. We've seen some people slowly adapting it. He did not do the fastest strat for this crate moon, which you can do another one of those homing cap strats there. And if you don't do it, nodes can be really noticeably faster, but it's a change you need to get used to. And getting nodes quick is also super hard.
I think negold got it too. Ram
It's good.
looked fine. Yep, nice job. Still also going for the great moon. So yeah, notes is a pretty new development. I mean, it probably already has like a month. Ooh, that would
You
have
can
been.
actually die there. You
You
don't
can,
see it
yeah.
much these days, but if you clip too far downwards on the swings, you can fall out of the map.
Yeah.
But like, he
And
gets the first try at the end.
you respawn all the way back into town.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you came out from Rumble Room. So it's like a minute and a half time loss, maybe a minute.
Probably a
It's
minute.
pretty
Yeah,
brutal.
it's comparable to a Miss Jaxie skip attempt, which is the
Yeah.
next riskier trick that LilAggy is gonna attempt here. It's one of the tricks a lot of runners get down pretty early because it's a quick moon, but it can be a little sketchy when you learn it first.
Yeah, it's because going that platform early is a big time save for the route, so might as well just learn it fast, learn it early, and it's not really that difficult. It's just jumping out of the bullet bill. Aggy about to do it right now.
Negold clipped into the swings room here in his first attempt, so he's forced to do double clip, which is obviously hard because you need to clip twice. And if he gets the clip first try here, which he actually does, but oh wow,
My god,
I guess
it
he at least
happened.
confirmed.
Yep, at least it shows we know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So he's gonna spawn on the Sphinx room because he actually entered the Sphinx room before, so it's not that big of a deal.
Wow, his clipping is very good though. He got 3 clips, every one of them clipped in first try. Just unfortunate that he got this one. I actually have no idea how the bird cycle is gonna be. It's probably good, right? Because
He's gonna
basically spawn from the
be
swings.
yeah, it's basically like double clip.
Yeah.
Basically the same as double clip. So yeah, don't sleep on Negold's skill. Like he's definitely like really good. He just hasn't been playing the game. Like back then when he got the low 105, uh, he was climbing the literals like super fast. He
Yeah.
came like kind of out of nowhere. So I'm not surprised by the skill he's showing. He's just showing some inconsistent play, which
Some
is
rustiness, yeah,
yeah,
which is obvious.
for sure. So Aggy out of sand. It was a pretty good sand. I don't think he made any major mistakes. Finn's clip was fine. I think it was first try actually.
It was no one failed one attempt here with clipping. Like we've seen 4 wall clips and every single one of them worked.
Nice.
It was obviously, we literally talked about it before. It was good for negold that he actually did double clip, because if he just got that single clip and died, he would have spawned at the town.
Yep.
But
Yep.
since he got into the room, his checkpoint was basically set when leaving the room. So he's actually he recovered this pretty well.
All right. So first screenshot coming up in Lake is the Dory Moon. Dory is the name of the monster, the Lapras-looking
Lapras,
monster.
exactly. I was right about that.
Lake Kingdom, very short kingdom. Nothing much to happen. Nothing much happens here. I mean, you can fill the zipper and fall down to the water, which is like a 10-second time loss, which is kind of brutal. But other than that, the kingdom is pretty easy.
Yep, at least as far as we currently do it in RTA. Which saves a little bit of time. Actually, a very minor. It's a very minor time save. But it's ridiculously hard. It not only was a very weird clip, it's not like the wall clips we usually see. It's like a seamless clip where you basically walk into a wall, and then you need to make your way half out of bounds. Like, it's super sketchy. You can basically grab a checkpoint there and have access to another fast mode and can skip this boss fight. But it's only a theoretical route right now, which can save time, but the clips...
I don't think Aggy got
Yep.
the screenshot. I think he forgot. So
Didn't capture right there.
So hopefully someone's gonna make him remember. And there is a backup screenshot in Luncheon, the pod mode. So let's see if negold gets it. So Aggy coming with Rango. Rango fight. Not much to say. Just some timing jumps. Getting the hat off and just hitting the boss. Nothing crazy.
You can actually save more time than you'd think in this fight, just off of timing your ground pound jumps a little bit closer to Rango actually extending his hitbox. And when you look at your gold, sometimes people are like, I don't know where I'm losing time, but this can lose more time than you think. And the gold actually taking the capture on Dory. Nice to see.
Nice. Yeah, Rango is all about timing. Like, you want to hit the boss as soon as he becomes like hittable, I suppose. It comes down to timing. You just gotta practice the boss fight and see how far you can push it. Because if you jump too early, you're gonna get hit.
I still think it's actually quite ridiculous how every single one of those bunny bosses has like one fast strat. Oh no.
Yeah, negold having issues climbing here. Nice backup.
Yeah, but for example, Rango here, it's obviously not really intended that you hit him this early, but the game just allows it. And then Topper, obviously, there's fast strats that the game allows you to do. Harriet, Spewart, literally every single one of those bosses has a inbuilt fast strat that the game just allows you to do.
It's interesting because it's really similar to the Mario games, where also like the mini bosses are pretty quick. You just hit them
That's
really
true.
fast and they just die. So it's pretty similar in that regard. So Wooded Kingdom, this is an important part of the run, especially in a race. Aggy said he doesn't do nut clip, he doesn't do the newest route in his PB, but he's gonna attempt it right here. So I'm kind of nervous for him, to be honest.
Me too. Because even though he has a solid lead right now, missing this route can lose you time, or actually lose you a ton of time. I mean, the time loss varies depending on how bad you mess it up. If you get it, it's a huge time save for you, but if you don't...
Also, this is a screenshot moon as well. He got it, nice. Right, that's good.
Definitely remembering this one. I've seen this screen capture message pop up right there. So all he needs to do basically to avoid a strike here is get that backup capture and luncheon after he throws in a turnip into a pot. You need to wait there anyway, so you can basically prepare to take the screen cap.
So negold, obviously in his PV he doesn't have nut clip because his PV is from 2 months ago. But I think he has been practicing it. I remember him asking stuff about it. I don't know how good he is at it. We'll see.
That was, I think, too quick, but it still looks good in terms of the position he's in. Yeah, but those, like, just visually, the backflip seemed too fast for LilAggy there.
Yeah, again, nut clip is all about timing. You wanna throw Cappy at a precise moment during the backflip, so at the same time you're touching the moon. That's why it's so much easier when moons are spawning, because you can basically time the whole thing. It's just a timing thing. Okay, negold missing the screenshot. Actually, no, he got it. Never
No,
mind.
he still got it.
He got it. Nice.
So negold is 2 out of 2, very nice. Only 1 to go until he verified his run, basically. And we'll see if he goes for Nightclub right here, which obviously can save him a lot of time if everything goes well.
Yeah.
But
And
once
Aggy
again, Nightclub is not the only
going.
thing.
Aggy not going for rock clip. You know, usually if you miss nut clip, you go for a null clip, which is rock clip. I don't think we've seen it in the tournament yet. Which that was the original new route before we found the nut clip. So Aggy is just doing the old route like completely.
I can actually respect it because this rock clip can lose you a lot of time if you don't get it, and this
And
definitely
Negold
didn't
get
work.
it. Negold didn't get it. That was way too fast.
Cap throw was too early on his
Yeah.
part there.
Let's see if he does rock clip or if he goes for the old route.
Oh, actually looking like he's attempting to rock clip.
Yeah,
Maybe
he's
actually
gonna
not.
try to rock.
Just taking the uproot to get to the rock. So this one is a very different roll cancel than the other ones. You need to actually delay your inputs way more than on Sphinx. Gets it second try. So if he doesn't make a mistake here, he might still be able to save time. Uh-oh, this looks a bit sketchy. I don't know how practiced he is at this movement, because this is the hard part.
Weird. This part is pretty weird. Like the camera doesn't help. You're like out of bounds. Ooh, he fell too low. Ooh, that's devastating. That's actually devastating. So what happened is, with the way you grab that moon is you drop down and you have to immediately grab the wall to wall jump into the moon. So you want to touch the moon on the lower part, and that's the only way you can do it and not clip in bounds after grabbing the moon. What happened to him is that he fell two down before grabbing the wall, so he tried to back it up like diving back into the platform, but he went too far, so he clipped all the way to the other side. This is gonna cost him like a minute easily.
He could have technically tried it again there, because he could have just used that rock clip again, which this is the nice thing about rock clip. Nut clip only gives you one shot, but you get as many attempts as you want basically to clip through the rock. Like once the moon out of bounds is actually acquired, you can't basically make the road work again because you can't make it up to the upper section. But just opting to go for the old road here at this point.
So I having a pretty good wooded. I think the only mistake he made was in pipes. I mean, he didn't get nut clip obviously, but other than that, he probably lost like 10 to 15 in pipes because he got hit. He missed the cycle. But after Negold's mistake, Aggy's gonna be even further ahead. We're looking at a big lead right now.
We are obviously only in wooded still, and there's a lot of scary parts of this run before these runners can be safe. Who's closing this one out? Just looking at,
sure.
I mean, you can even look at stuff like Cloud at this point. We have seen some interesting mistakes this race, so I can even see a potential klepto trigger or something. That's actually something I haven't seen in a very long time. When I was casting another tournament, this Lost Kingdom seemed to be like a cursed place where pretty much every single run that got there activated klepto, something which comes with a huge time loss.
Yeah.
But this tournament seemed to go pretty well as far as klepto and Lost, especially in general.
I think Lost is actually the kingdom, apart from the early game. I think it's the kingdom where people reset the most. Like if you had statistics, I'm pretty sure Lost is a very big reset point, because basically every moon can kill you in Lost. If you miss the moon, if you miss the jump, you're basically dead, or you trigger klepto, which is even worse. So in races, it could be a turning point for sure.
negold getting a very clean flower road skip there, just skipping that kind of an auto-scroller section to make his way to this additional moon we need to grab before we go to the tower and then fight the boss.
I'm curious if Negold is gonna do the boss, or he's gonna do the new wooded route.
I mean, he can't even do it anymore at this point.
Oh, you're right,
because
he
actually got pipes,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I got confused.
No, I ask myself this question so much, but the new way of basically finishing this kingdom uses this pipe sewer moon one more time, which initially we skipped that one. But to skip the boss, you can get that one, an additional corner, additional hidden nut on a corner to skip the boss, which is like 3 seconds faster, like reliably.
All right, so yeah, big lead for Aggy. He's coming up in Cloud. Let's see how he does the fight. There's actually quite a few optimizations in this kingdom. Even the initial movement can be way faster than what he just did. It's pretty hard though. So it's one of those things where do you really wanna risk so much for half a second? It's that kind of deal. It's pretty much everywhere in this game, where runners do ridiculous things for just half a second time save. So yeah, during the fight, the manipulation you want to do is basically you want to throw Bowser to one of the sides. And the reason for that is when Bowser recovers, he's gonna jump straight away from Mario. So
Mhm.
he's gonna go on the button that is further away from Mario. So if you can make him jump only one spot, that saves time. And you want to do that twice. He missed the first time and got the second one. Pretty average Cloud.
And if you push for your goals basically in your SOB, improving Cloud, pretty much there's only two things you can do. Like those optimizations with the manipulation is the one thing, but if you do that every run, the only way you can save time in this kingdom is actually the beginning movement. So
Yep.
I see a lot more runners actually go for more risky strats nowadays. I've seen some people go for the ridiculous Cloud boost there even in this race, which is the fastest strat. It can easily cost you your life there though, because the Cloud is not behaving super I mean, you can make it super consistent, but if you have one small timing flaw with your inputs there, the Cloud will just push you to the death plane basically.
Alright, Aggy starting lost. Pretty good first moon. Pretty clean meme tree. Butterfly moon, I think it's I don't know, Butterfly is just my nemesis. I've reset in that moon so many times. It's so scary for me for some reason.
Oh, interesting approach from negold actually.
Wow.
Doing a roll cancel into a cap vault basically. Which is probably a bit faster than what LilAggy did. He just did the long jump into a cap dive and then a homing cap. It's not the fastest strat, but I think he saved a little time on Aggy there, on this one.
Right, negold missing the manip. Nope, so you see Bowser jumping 2 spots instead of 1. I
It's
think
not
each time
worst
you do
case
it, it saves
scenario.
what? Yeah. Each time you do it, saves what? Half a second? Maybe not
For
even.
each space, maybe like 0.3 or 0.35 or something. If you don't do anything at all, Bowser's gonna jump 3 spaces if you don't even roll to the side after the hit. So that's like the worst case scenario.
Right. Pretty clean loss by Aggy. Let's see
Not
if
a
he does
mistake.
triple jump gauge or he plays it safe. I'm not sure what he does in his runs.
Looks
going
to
for
be a
triple
triple
jump.
jump.
He got it.
Nice.
That'll look good.
One scary part to go still, grabbing that moon under the bridge here. Just plays a little bit safer with the normal ground pound instead of the spin pound for a more reliable angle. But this loss looked very good, yeah, definitely.
Yep. I'm curious on his pace compared to his PB because I think the only big mistake he made so far is Dino Skip.
Mm-hmm.
Because his PB doesn't have Nut Clip. So his wooded was probably very similar to his PB. Maybe, I mean, he got hit in pipes, so he probably lost timing wooded.
Yeah,
But
there's
he's probably
a
not
little.
far behind.
There's a little bit of stuff that you usually don't really see in these races, but if you watch a runner solo on his PB, you know that he's taking a lot of time to save. One example would be he actually bonked after FMS trying to make it up to the Dino section too.
Right.
He also missed left side. He
Yeah, right.
tried to go for nut clip and didn't. I mean, that's obviously not a time loss because his PB doesn't have it, but there's like those few flaws that actually, when you have a 104, can already make it hard for you to PB sometimes.
Yeah, he probably would have reset already. You're right. Speedrunning is hard, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to this point. Like once you're in the 104 range, you try to get a 103. It's you need a clean early game, and it's not easy in this
I
game.
mean, let's be realistic. Most players would probably just reset when they miss left side.
Exactly.
Actually, most players would have probably reset when he was trying to capture the frog, which is like 1
True.
minute into the run.
True. Yeah. That's it's interesting. Ooh, that was scary.
Dodgy.
That was scary. But yeah, I mean, Cap Kingdom is such a short kingdom that it's so tempting to just reset on the first mistake. You don't really want to leave Cap Kingdom losing 5 seconds. It feels really bad. That's why most people just reset. I know
And
it's not
once-
ideal, but
Yeah,
what
it's
it
not like you
is.
need it, but you want to start out on a good note.
Yeah.
Let's see if Negold just goes for the quicker version of the backup moon here, which is this one hidden under this cage. I would probably go for it at this point because he did miss the triple jump there on the leaf.
Yeah, he tried to do the triple jump cage, but he just did a roll cancel triple jump, which is not how you do it. Because you need to start the triple from the platform, and he started way earlier.
Ooh, he's not gonna be able to live there.
No.
which is not a big deal because he's going to be spawning at the Odyssey, so you can just leave the kingdom. And he's definitely good on coins, so that's like one thing you can potentially worry about when dying in Lost, but he's very good on coins. We do need to buy another shop Moon and Snow, so 100 coins, but both of the runners are definitely good to go with 130 here in Metro.
Yep. So Aggy coming with Wiggler. Wiggler, if you miss the 2 cycle, you can lose 30 seconds basically. I think beating the boss in 2 cycles was not the intended way Nintendo wanted us to do
Probably
it,
not.
but we do it. I haven't seen people missing Wiggler lately. I think we finally figured it out. I know top runners definitely have it down, but it's actually, I mean, it's one of the parts in the game that has the most RNG, because the boss has a lot of patterns that he can do, and you kind of have to react. I mean, if you practice it enough, you can recognize the patterns. Actually, it's not completely random, it's just patterns, and it's one at random basically.
Wiggler really comes
Know the
down to like
patterns.
the small optimizations. In this case, you need to be far enough back to make all of these shots hit, and LilAggy getting a pretty clean 2 cycle there.
Yeah, so ideally the perfect 2 cycle is not getting hit by the bullets and killing the boss before he stops. And if you do that, you actually save like quite a bit. Like seconds, like 5. I would say like 5 seconds if you do a perfect fight, compared to what he just did.
You can
Maybe
save
not
so
5.
much time there. I think you can save 5 seconds easily. When you every time I have like a very good night metro and then I mess something up in Wiggler, suddenly I'm like 8 seconds behind my gold or something. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the beginning, Wiggler was just, get the 2 cycle and get out. No one really thought much about it, but with time, people just want to save them everywhere, and that's when people are actually starting like getting good at the fight and figuring out ways to combat the RNG, dodge the bullets while killing the boss at the same time.
There is also ways to potentially abuse RNG in this fight, but like almost nobody prepares for this insane pattern, and just basically getting all of the shots to hit 3 parts of the Wiggler is what you want to get. The LilAggy setup here for School Clip is a bit off, but he bonks against a little metal thing to line up one more time and still gets it quickly.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe strat. If you're learning Scoot Clip and you don't, I mean, getting the drive-by really fast is not easy. So if you just like bonk yourself on the railing and just line it up, it becomes way easier. So it's a good way of playing it safe.
And interesting for Aggy was that he tried to do another one of those homing cap strats, but the capture he was gonna home into was not on camera, and everything that's not on camera in this game for some reason doesn't probably or fully load in some cases at least. So the game wouldn't let him home in on the capture.
Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic because we use it both ways, right? Sometimes we wanna have things in camera so we can capture them right away, and sometimes we move the camera away so enemies spawn later, and that helps us with cycles and stuff like that. So it's an interesting mechanic that runners use in different ways.
Negold
Having a lot of
this is
issues.
probably a 3 cycle.
It is a 3 cycle, or maybe not. Oh, he was so close. He was so close, but yeah, it's a 3 cycle. That's like 25 to 30 seconds time loss, depending
And
on
the
how
thing
fast
is,
he does it.
he didn't really get a nice pattern. The Wiggler was kind of wiggly and moved around a lot, but he could have probably reacted to it a bit better. And he also sniped a lot of the parts at the very end, but wasn't able to fully make it work. So I think he only had 1 shot missing, right? Like, now that I look at it.
Yeah, only one. So I think the mistake, honestly, I think the mistake he made is, when the second cycle starts, when the second phase starts, Wiggler sometimes is in one of the sides of the room, and he shoots the bullets completely on that side. And what he did is what you usually want to do, which is you shoot the bullets that come out first. But when the boss is completely on one side, what you should do is you should go to the other side of the room and just shot 1 bullet, which is the last one,
Yeah.
closest to you, and just ignore the other 4. And if you do that, it's really easy to dodge the bullets. You just concentrate on the boss. When the boss is in the middle shooting at you, you should shoot the first 3 bullets that he shots. So I think that's the mistake he made. He made it really hard for himself doing it like that. This is the kind of things that top runners nowadays just do it without thinking.
Yeah, it's
Just
internal.
react to the pattern and just do what you gotta do.
So interesting here that LilAggy decided to go for the quote-unquote older version of Metro, which is pretty much the same. You just change the order a little around to save 1 to 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure he knows of it. Maybe he's just not looked into the movement, but the movement is something you can easily learn like in one session, maybe an hour or something, to be confident on what you do there.
Yeah, I think it's what I said earlier. I think Aggy's just the type of player that's just he likes to be confident on the stuff he does. He probably implements strats slowly. He doesn't do it until he's sure he can do it in a run consistently, and I can respect that. Especially for a route that only saves like a second or maybe two. Even though you could argue that those 2 seconds are kind of free, it's okay. It's only 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's fine. Negold actually homing in too early on the strat I talked about earlier, which made him miss the moon there. It wasn't fully grabbable before he homed into the pole thingy there. So having to go back to get the moon.
Yeah, pretty clean metro by Aggy. I don't think I spot any major mistakes. Let's see if Negold does the new musicians route.
Doesn't
No.
look like it, so it's also gonna warp to the tower here to get some higher level moons. And when I say higher level, I mean literally on the higher level of the city. First, before he goes to the people's room, usually what we do in the other route, we just grab the musician's moon on the lower floor of the kingdom first, then do this upper section, and in the end warp out of the people's room, the crowded alley.
That was so close by Negold. Bonking there is actually a really big time loss. 30 seconds easily, I would say. The problem he did was he long jumped way too early. You want to long jump on the edge of the platform. He long jumped like early, so he had to rainbow spin in the air to gain some distance, and even then he barely made it.
Interesting climb there from the gold. That actually was very fast. He got like a wall bounce basically there on top of the tower. Not being able to line up the spin pawn, which is another bigger time save than you would think, because you basically fall down on both strats. But throwing Cappy, diving on top of it, so basically gaining additional height that you don't need, and doing all of these animations is actually up to a second slower.
So and actually that tower moon is another instance where you want to move the camera so you load the moon before you get there, because it's really easy to have the camera in a way where you get to the top without looking at the moon, and when that happens, you don't really, even if you touch the moon, you don't really grab it because it's not loaded yet. There's like tiny things like that all over the place in the run. So Snow Kingdom for Aggy. Let's see if he does Snowdrum. I would guess he does.
Yeah, I would assume so. With his time, like if you don't do Nut Clip, his time is already very good, and I assume he would do Snowdrum on with his PB.
Yeah.
I mean, in a race, you might argue that maybe you don't. Okay, definitely going for Snowdrum. Like as soon as people jump on this umbrella, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because the route without Snowdrum, you would go for the shop right away. So we know. All right. I don't know if Negold is gonna do Snowdrum, because back when he was active, Snowdrum was definitely not a thing yet. I mean, maybe for top runners, but not for everyone else.
I remember him definitely talking about it a lot when he was still running. So I'm pretty sure Snowdrum came obviously into play before we did the wooded stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe like even a month or something. I don't know if he did it in his PV, but yeah, it's a 10-second time save if everything goes well. Like if everything actually goes well, if you do a fast setup and don't have mistakes on the route, basically, which requires you also to have a nice warp. Very sketchy there.
Yeah,
but can lose you way more.
So Aggy actually almost dies. That blowy Joey almost blows him away. What you want to do actually when that happens, when you're late on the cycle, you just want to keep rolling. Like if you just keep rolling on the round, he doesn't really push you back that much. You just gotta be careful, and when he swipes away, you can just roll cancel and capture.
But yeah, actually, LilAggy, and I don't know if it was intended there, doing a strat that looks slow and is actually fast, which he left one of those spinies alive there. And if you do that, you can, if you react well, basically roll cancel there to kick the spiny off into the poison, which the story task there is basically to kill all of these spinies. And the game is going to spawn in the moon and then pan the camera back to Mario's position. But in this case, Mario would obviously be closer to the moon, so the camera wouldn't pan as much and you save a little bit of time there.
Yeah, it's a mechanic that we use in several places. Cap Kingdom, Metro, Bowser's, Snow. I'm probably forgetting some of them. But yeah, it's actually a pretty new development. I mean, it's a few months old already, but it was interesting how we discovered about it, and we went through the entire run looking for places where we could use the same mechanic.
There's a few places where we basically have captures or movable objects off camera just to basically make a cycle work better. In Luncheon, there's 2 instances of that pretty quickly after another one of them where you capture like a fireboard and another one where you go in a sub room. We are going to get into that when it actually happens, because LilAggy is going to be coming up at Snowdram after the shop moon now, so definitely scary strat here. Every attempt you fail on this trick loses you at least basically around 20 seconds, maybe a little more depending on how well you redo the setup. So yeah, and you're basically committed to get the trick, because if you don't, there's no other moon you can really replace it with efficiently.
Okay, so Negold actually correcting me in the chat saying he was one of the first 5 people to do Snowdram in runs. I didn't know. I'm sorry. You're a god. So
Yeah, remember
LilAggy Snowdram right now. That didn't look good. Never mind. I'm really bad at Snowdram. That was perfect.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's perfect. The thing is just that for people that do the trick, they all have their own setup, and
Yeah.
because everyone practices the trick so much, they literally know how Mario usually reacts to the inputs you do. They know how the vectoring mechanic looks. They know how to delay the rainbow spin, and when your setup differs, obviously also all those factors will differ. So you might say, "Oh, that doesn't look like me usually getting it." But it's pretty a personal thing. It has a lot of ways to make that jump work. That stretch. Oh no, Nicole was actually in the game for a very long time, but we didn't really go for it because there seemed to be no setup for it. But currently, we found it like just recently.
Yeah, it was that. Oh my god, Negold is having a breakdown right now. So yeah, the thing that made Snowdram consistent was the first-person camera to line up the Cappy angle, basically, strat by Shaden, as many strats in the game. That's what made it consistent. But you're right, people actually do Snowdram very different, even though it's a pretty tight jump, and the inputs are the same for everyone. It's just the vector into a double dive with a rainbow spin in the middle. There's a lot of setups you can do, and the setups change. The visual cues change depending on the setup you do. I personally do Snowdram from the right side, so it's completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, LilAggy did something weird in his Snowdram where he reset the camera in between the 2 dives, which is it's the first time I see someone do that. But maybe that helps him.
Yeah, maybe this is part of his personal setup.
Exactly.
But yeah, Negold actually having a lot of trouble in this Taifu/Blowy Joy Room, which is the official name of our community, basically, for these enemies. So definitely taking some time to stand. LilAggy is going to come up pretty soon on the last official capture moon before the backup moon. So let's see if he still remembers, because there's actually a lot of time passed since the last one.
Yeah. Hopefully he remembers. So the screenshot moon is the one after the tunnel. So it's still 3 months to go. Yeah, still 3 months to go. But yeah, Aggy's Snow wasn't that good. I mean, he had some sloppy movement, but no deaths, just a few, just sloppy movement. It was a pretty good Snow. So he definitely gained even more time over Negold because Negold died twice. And his C-side so far has been pretty clean.
Yeah, C-side, dude. I don't even want to talk about this kingdom. It is a pretty nice route. It's literally just you basically swim one circle around this kingdom. But one mistake that we saw, Aggy read, it's one, super easy to take damage, and taking damage in this game loses you a lot of time. We will see why on the next moon. It's gonna grab this moon, and the game's gonna replenish his health right here with this little animation, which loses you actually 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But you can also bonk everywhere. You can bonk with the fish. So this kingdom seems chill, but can be very punishing.
So this is the screenshot moon. He remember. Nice.
Getting the capture, but that almost looked like a moon clip type of scenario. The way his camera behaved, that almost looked like Mario was out of bounds for a second. But yeah, interesting.
So Nego about to do Snowdram. Let's see.
So this actually seems like a
nice.
Wow. Okay, it's literally the same problem because it seemed like he didn't delay his rainbow spin at all there, which is one of the core things you want to do. but maybe he got a very good vector and he didn't even need to do it. So yeah, it's a personal thing. We should probably not call until they actually bonk or make it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
you're
that's
right.
something you
And
learn.
that's also the reason we were arguing about this the other day with the boys. Snowdrum is one trick that is really hard to teach. I mean,
Mhm.
you can show, you can teach a setup, and you can share the setup you do with other people, but it's a jump that you have to experience yourself, and you need to practice it for a long time just to break it down and learn everything about it, because you need to understand perfectly every part of the trick to be able to do it consistently. So it's something that's really hard to teach. I mean, you can give pointers to people, but you need to put the time. That there's no easy solution for Snowdrum.
It's not. And it's something you need to experiment with yourself. And that's actually pretty much exactly how this game behaves from pretty much all of the tricks. Like, there's some stuff you can teach that has science behind it. Like, obviously, routing is like literally a textbook scenario where you just need to tell people that's how you go through the kingdom. But
Right.
stuff like the jump that LilAggy does right there, the salt triple jump, which he gets very nicely, is something that you need to do yourself. No matter how much you explain to a person that they need to delay their cap dive and they need to be careful how to cap stall at the wall, you need to actually do it. Actually, you also want to fail. Because once you actually fail at the strats, you know how to avoid it and what you actually did wrong. So there's no textbook solution to play this game fast. You need to actually play.
Yeah. And I mean, top runners of this game have thousands of hours already in this game for sure. I myself, I know I have at least 1,500, so I wouldn't be surprised if the top runners have more than 2K by now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, easily, actually. If we think about the top 5, I'm pretty confident.
So when Aggy was leaving Seaside, negold was entering Seaside, so the difference between the runners is 3 minutes. It's gonna be hard for negold. I mean, let's be real, it's gonna be hard, but it's still doable. Lanchon, a lot of things can happen in Lanchon for Aggy. Bowser's
Ruined.
the kingdom. So it's still not over.
No, for sure not. Especially the late game in this kingdom is, I mean, it is the hardest part. It's not the hardest part mainly in terms of moving. There's a lot of more scary parts in the early game, but it is so punishing, the mistakes that you can do there. You can easily die in Lunch, and you can easily die in Bowser's. You can easily, I mean, you can't easily die in Ruined, but if you would die in Ruined, it would be a huge punish. It would be the hardest punishable death in the game when you die in Ruined.
That's interesting. It's probably true.
Yeah, I couldn't see where there's. I mean, maybe no. Like, even if you die on Meg, dying in Ruin is probably the most punishing death you could take, especially if you die in third phase.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's funny, actually. I mean, running in Ruin is a meme. Okay, I think
It is.
negold missed the screenshot, by the way. I think that Mount Moon was the screenshot moon.
The Mount one was the screenshot one.
So I think he
He's still
missed
going to
it.
be able to get the backup moon. Actually, LilAggy is about to come up at the backup moon. If he thinks about it, he can take the capture right there to avoid getting a strike, because he missed the first screen cap so far.
Yeah, don't get striked. It feels bad, trust me.
So he has a lot of time to think about his life right here. I think he's actually going to miss the moon with this ground pound.
Oh,
Oh,
got it.
still got it
And he
and got the
captured.
capture. Nice.
God gamer. Pretty clean Lanchon so far. I mean, some sloppy movement, but other than that, it was all pretty good.
Yep. Definitely still on good
So
pace.
this is another instance. Ooh, okay. This is another instance where we use the camera. So that lava bubble, we actually move the camera in a way so it spawns late, and that gives us time to grab the moon before the lava bubble comes close to us.
Ooh,
I mean, there's
good
faster
answer.
strats where you don't do camera manipulation at all, and you go so fast that it doesn't matter. But that's more tight.
Notoriously called the camera manip less.
Yeah.
Actually, LilAggy did not go for the camera manip in this room where you can skip one of the forks. Because if you'd skip that fork without the camera manipulation, the little mount thingy that shoots your cap wouldn't have made it there in time. So you need to look up to basically make that thing move.
Yep. It would be like the inverted. Like you look at the thing so it spawns early, and for the lava bubble you don't look at it so it spawns late.
two interesting jumps for both runners at the same time. Negold getting the sword triple very nicely, and LilAggy doing some interesting podoboo, which podoboos are those little lava bubbles. Mechanic there to jump up the section. Actually, the game doesn't intend you to jump this up, but if you jump on a slope, you gain some additional height and can make that an interesting clipping on the right side of the cage. It's possible, but it's rarely seen.
Right, so this is interesting because this tournament clip Aggy is doing. I mean, the setup, not the actual clip.
Mhm.
It's a pretty old stuff, right? It's how we used to do
Yeah.
it at the beginning. We used to use that wall, and we used to go down. Like right now, something that probably people don't notice is we're actually manipulating the pan bro, all the way from the forks room. Like when we leave the forks room, we're putting the camera in a way where we're delaying the spawn of that enemy, and we do that so what by the time we get to the cage, the enemy is right there, and that actually
Next
saves
to
a lot.
us, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting how the strat itself. I mean, sure he did turn and clip, but the way he did it is actually probably like 5 seconds that slower than what top runners do nowadays.
You're still probably not going to be able to get that time doing the cheese. Like the optimal turnip clip only saves like what 8 seconds or something.
Yeah.
But that is comparing against a perfect movement and perfect capturing and perfect actually unlocking the lever behind the cheese. So that turnip clip probably easily still save time over the quote unquote intended strat the game wants you to do there.
Yeah, and I'm not mean to be mean to Aggy. I mean, hopefully he watches the video, but I think at the point he's right now with his time in his PB, this is the kind of stuff that he really needs to look into, because these are the things that are gonna give him the most reward in terms of time. Like these kind of strats are not necessarily that hard. The Metro reroute with the early musicians, the fast turning clip with the bro manip, all these kind of things is stuff that he could easily implement with his level of play for sure.
Would it definitely being the biggest one? It's the one with the most risk, probably. Like doing that cameraman, it doesn't really have a risk, and this wooded route has a huge risk, but it obviously also reaps the biggest reward with like a potential 30-second time save if you do everything correctly.
Right, pretty good. And okay, Negold getting the screen. Nice. No strikes
Oh,
for any runner. He got
taking a
hit, but it's
bath
okay.
in the pot there.
Right, pretty clean luncheon by Aggy. I don't think he made any major mistakes.
Yep, heading into ruined.
I wonder what pace he's in. He's probably like low 105 pace, honestly. I'm not sure. I didn't do the math. Pretty good run.
Yeah, going back into it, not too many mistakes. Probably hard for him to be on PB pace with the mistakes he made. But I can actually just go ahead and look at his PB to look into his splits. Having a little trouble there with the opening movement to ruined.
Yeah, so Ruin, is basically the auto scroller of Odyssey. I think the day we find a way to skip this kingdom, everyone is gonna be super happy. But doesn't seem like it's possible. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, we can't tell, obviously. The thing is, you need 3 moons to leave this place, and we don't even know, like, even if we somehow manipulated the game into thinking we have 3 moons, we might not even be able to leave because the game still has the flag for the dragon set to be there and not being able to leave, so we literally have no idea if it's somehow even possible.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's something you can at least confirm to be possible with, like, save editing or something, but I don't know anything about it, and it doesn't seem likely. Because this game actually does a very good job to deny us from skipping sections of the game. And they got actually going for the bro minute, but I don't think this turnip is... Wow, is that gonna work? Wow.
Yeah,
That seemed like
is.
super close to the cage, but nice.
So the closer the turnip is to the gauge, the more precise you need to be with the bro position. But even if it's super close, you can still make it. But you need to put it in a way where it's like super center with the turnip, so it doesn't slide to one side.
Yep.
When the turnip is further away, you have some leeway on the positioning for the clip. It's actually like
Sure.
turning clip. It takes a while to understand break down the trick. There's a lot of things you need to look into, but if you understand how it works, you can adapt to the turning position and do the clip in different ways.
I was right about to talk about the strat Negold was setting up right there, which you can do a vault strat there, which is optimal, but his cap was way too high, so he just rolled under the cap. Unfortunate.
So yeah, pretty sloppy luncheon by Nickel. Oof. All right. Actually, falling in that mountain can be pretty devastating.
There is a save you can do, but you need to actually know the save. Otherwise, if you don't know it, you'll just die.
Yeah, I definitely lost runs there, for sure.
Yep,
I think many people can relate to that.
definitely.
Right.
But yeah, looking at the timer right now, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to tell you that LilAggy is not even that far off his PB. He's probably gonna be looking to be like 5 seconds behind only.
Let's see. So it's I'm gonna assume he has like an 8:05 Bowser's. That's gonna be my assumption.
Not
we're
in his
looking
PB
at-
at least.
What does he have?
So his PB has a 50-43 ruined, which he's 5 seconds behind of right now. But his Bowser's is an 8-14, which is probably beatable on his level if he does all of the strats correctly. So he can definitely
Wow.
save time there.
That's surprising. Wow. So, he could actually PB right here. I don't know what his Bowser's gold is, but an 8:14 Bowser's is definitely not that good for the time he has. He should be definitely be able to get a low 8,
Yeah.
at least like an 8:05, 8:04, something like that, for sure. He
Which
definitely
is
has the skill.
actually interesting if you think about it, because he didn't even do the wooded route here. So if he just did that, he would probably be still barely on 103 pace, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, wooded route. It's already like what 3 months old, but there were already like 103s without the wooded route, so it's definitely possible.
Oh, I mean, obviously.
It's definitely possible to get a 102. Technically,
at
a
this
101.
point, exactly. What's all about? Like technically, it's possible. No one actually has a time that proves it, because you most likely save around 28 seconds with the wooded route. But it is technically possible. Actually, Swiss PB proves it, I think, because he has like a 10-28, right? 101 and 28, right? So he technically could have gotten this as a 101 without the new wood route. Obviously, helps a lot to improve runs.
Yeah, it also kind of almost proves that it's 101 is possible with 1.2, but not quite.
That's true.
Not quite.
Not
yeah.
quite.
So Aggy coming to Shard is one of the hardest part of the kingdom, in my opinion. Depending on the strats you use.
Interesting
Right.
approach.
Yeah. Pretty safe strat. The second shard is where the most optimizations happen. Yeah, he saved it. Like when you're under the roof, you need to make sure you go to the side, or you.
Wow,
you
very
pass.
quick backup for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna get hit.
Wow.
My
All right.
goodness.
All
Dodgy
right.
shots.
So we know he's close to his PB right now. So if he actually doesn't make any mistakes, he might be able to, depending on how much time save he has in Moon. And yeah, negold having fun with the dragon in Ruin. Yeah, Ruin is
last
interesting
place.
because Ruin, we don't like Ruin. We can't really go fast in Ruin. It's an auto scorer. We hate auto scorers, but at the same time, it's in a point in the run where it's good to take a breather. You just finished Luncheon, which is one of the hardest splits in the game, and you need to do Bowser's, which is a very hard part of the game. You need to do mech, you need to do a lot of stuff in this kingdom. You're reaching the end of the run. Having these 3 minutes of just thinking about your life, just taking a breath, drinking some water. It's actually nice. It's nice. So I don't
It's
know.
nice
I don't
to
know if I
have-
want it gone.
Yeah, like we get at a point where we literally route out any cutscene we have. If you think about routing out the wooded boss, potentially routing out the lake boss. So it's nice to have, and in my opinion, Bowser's is almost like a roller coaster ride, because it's like movement section, cutscene, movement section, cutscene, movement section, cutscene. That's like 4 times in a row. So it gets pretty intense if you're on good pace.
Yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. I think like sometimes I'm not even nervous, and when I get to Bowser's and I need to wait for all the cutscenes, I actually start getting anxious because I just
Yeah.
want to go. I just want to go, and the game doesn't let me. It's pretty interesting.
In terms of raw gameplay, this gameplay is probably shorter than Luncheon even, but it's the longest split in the run because of all the cutscenes.
Right.
Like just the cutscene, like when you hit the last bubble on the mech, you still need to wait 1 minute and 30 seconds, and this cutscene after these bunnies, and there's like 3 story moons.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I think Metro is probably gameplay wise.
The longest.
Actually, I
for
don't
sure.
know because
No,
there
it's the
is
longest.
a lot of cutscenes.
Metro
Yeah.
has the most gameplay in the run. There is some cutscenes, and wow, that's actually a very Devastating mistake. They're actually only at 1 HP, so you probably should
Oh.
pick up this heart to be safe.
My heart. All right. So that probably means the PB said. Sadly, that's a pretty costly mistake. 10 seconds
Yeah.
at least. So that sucks. But you know, what can you do?
He's gonna get a damage refill too, which loses additionally 2 seconds, and he had some sloppiness in the shards today, so even if he goes for the most optimal mech here with the Harriet third strat, which I'm pretty sure he's not doing, we don't see it often, it's gonna be hard to even tie his Bowser's time here. And his moon is I think like a 533, which is improvable, but it's not bad, obviously.
Yeah. All right, and negold starting Bowser's a bit of trouble in the first moon, but he got it. He's gonna do shots right now. And Aggy Box's moon. Box's moon actually can be pretty deadly. The moon itself and the movement after the moon can be pretty deadly. Very nice boxes. Let's see about
Yeah.
Pipe.
Going for the harder strat where you don't sit on the little island basically before you make that jump. Also getting
Nice.
that gap bridged very easily. And yeah, pretty much I wouldn't say it is kind of the hardest part, but it's one of the sequences in the game everybody practices the most, if not the one people practice the most, at least initially.
So Negold went for triple jump shards. There's another way of doing it. You do a triple jump to grab the third one, but it's really hard to climb back to the roof. It's a pretty tight dive that you gotta do. Like the angle is really important. Oh my god! Now he bonked and died.
Yep.
Yep. So that's shots for you.
So very fast climb for LilAggy there because he did not go for the fastest strat. I mean, there's two faster strats. One of them climbing the mech with backflips, and one is climbing the mech with a wall jump on his leg. But he went for the safest strat. But for the safest strat, it was very quick, getting these hits in quickly.
Yeah, and he didn't do the second hit. He did small lance second hit, which is just a ground pound, a time ground pound instead of the spin pound. Just a bit slower, but not really that much slower.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
saw that coming.
All right,
I don't like when people run off the mech there to get that
Yeah.
ground pound. I personally do like a backflip there, which makes it a little bit easier to have a timing and the
Yeah,
visual.
I
You have an
think-
easy visual cue of that.
Yeah, I think it's you either have to do backflip, or if you want to fall off, you should do it while crouching, because you don't go that far. That's what I do, and I feel like super consistent. But yeah, I mean, obviously he goes for that. It's because he trusts that strat. It's probably what he's used to doing. But you know,
Obviously.
sometimes mech can just screw you up. It's pretty brutal fight. Pretty brutal fight. Haha.
Actually, still a very decent backup for him. This is obviously still a race. This is not a PB attempt. So LilAggy definitely can be happy to make it out of this fight without any major problems. Because once you actually fall, things can get a little shaky and you can start taking damage, and then suddenly you're only at 1 HP, and then suddenly a bird pokes you, and then, I mean, you know how it goes from there.
Oh, I know. I know very well, actually. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for Nicole to win now. It basically depends on Aggy making a lot of mistakes. In Moon, we're talking about missing to the escape, dying on the initial movement. A lot of things
Well,
have to happen for this
I'm not
race
sure
to
if
turn
you've
around.
seen Ekwan versus Zypher. There was like a race where both of them died like six
Oh,
times.
yeah.
I mean, they didn't die 6 times, but in races, it's literally everything is possible. We've also seen someone ledge clip into the moon in this tournament already, so
Yeah,
definitely not
that's
calling
crazy.
anything that early. But it's looking good for LilAggy. Last Kingdom coming up.
Nicole having some issues with Topper as well, getting hit. He has a heart in the middle. I wonder if he can grab that.
He's probably not going to despawn. Depends on how well he can basically space his roll there. It's probably if the heart is still there, it's faster no matter what. Like he should just That was actually very
Nice.
optimal too.
Wow, what a god! And yeah, that was a quick reaction too. Like you need to be on your toes to do that. Realize the heart is right there, so you just do a spin pan roll cancel. Nice stuff. That's pretty clean.
And once again, why this was better is because he was only at 2 HP. So even though this is like a different moon animation, those story moons still replenish your health after the animation is done. The multi-moons do not do that, but those story moons do it.
Right, Aggy starting moon. Let's see those vectors. You know, vectors again is angle yourself during the jumps. 45 degrees usually what you want, and you get some speed, you gain some distance. In moon is very noticeable because of the lack of gravity. So the jumps are really long, so you can use vector a lot. But you know, for example, we actually use it on Cap Kingdom with the frogs.
Negold playing it safe
Right.
there with the, I mean, that strat looked a little dodgy with the bird, but before he played it safe and waited for the camera to turn to bridge that gap between the pipe at exit and the Pokio section.
Right, nice moon skip by Aggy. He wants to close out this race. And Negold coming to Micro Brutal. Let's see what happens. You know, Micro Brutal is one of the parts of the run where if you're rusty and you haven't done it in a while, it can be pretty bad.
Wow. That's low. Interesting cap return jump strat there on his leg. But other than that, looked fine. He's not going to be able to do the Goyuya strat with this position. If you do the Goyuya strat, you need to ground pound the right part of the bubble. And
Wow. He went for it. Alright, that's okay. It could have been really bad, but
yeah.
you know, it worked out.
Actually, that's...
That's interesting. That shouldn't have happened. I don't know why he bonked. So when you go back to the mech in that spot, you just want to dive twice really fast. You just want to throw cappy dive, throw cappy dive. You don't want to delay at all. If you do that, you're usually fine. That's interesting because I don't know what he did. I need to watch it again. But he should have been able to make it without problems.
Definitely agree. And actually, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Suddenly you're at 1 HP and one of those cannonballs can actually kill you. So definitely want to be safe.
Alright, getting skewered. It should be fine.
Only one ground pound to go. If you actually don't do the fast setup for this one, which is a spin pound, it can be very hard to hit Harriet. Hopefully you can make it work.
Oh boy, it's okay.
Okay, got it.
Negold saying he clipped the ears. Yeah, that's what it looked
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I know. You can you can basically clip into the mech if you hit the ears right there. If you do the Goyuya strat we've been talking about, you actually avoid these ears entirely. Will be having enough height to just dive over them.
Right. Right. So Aggy got to the skip, no problem. And reaching the escape, the final part of the run. Oh wait, he didn't do to escape.
Oh no,
Yeah,
he got the fast strats in Bowser. He actually, the only mistake he made, he was pausing after the fight. But he's gonna come up at 2D skip though, which is the final hard trick of the run. I guess fast pillars is another hard trick, but it's not required. This one is a bit more scary.
That's what I meant. Also, thanks for the sub gift, dude. Appreciate it.
Jojo, thank you so much for supporting GSA. Tischl is obviously gonna be spamming some clocks right here. As LilAggy gets the 2D skip without any problems.
Nice. Alright, so Negold finishing up Bowser's with a bit of trouble. We're looking at, I would say, about 4.5 minutes difference, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, LilAggy actually might still be able to get like a 105 2x, potentially maybe even like a 1x if this pillar room goes very well. And when I say 1x, I mean like 17, 18 or something. But realistically, I'd say like a 105 20. Actually missing a lot of shots there. So
no, he's getting like a 105 08. I'm calling it.
I don't think it's possible with these shots. I think he hits some later, but might be close. Like I think usually you want to be destroying the last pillar like 20 seconds before your final time. So you might actually get there. We'll see.
So usually the timing I do is when you break the wall before fast pillars is 1 minute. Like if you look at the timer, it's 1 minute without a
If it
pillar.
goes well, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is probably like a Yeah, you might be pretty close with the 08.
Yep, I know I am.
I doubted him because those
It's
first
not a
shots
way,
didn't
it's
look
like
too
a
well.
10, it's like a 10. Or maybe a 9.
No, it's like an 08, 09 actually. It's not a 10.
Yeah, I'm kind of good at timing stuff in this game, guys. It was a 08. I think it was...
Actually, it didn't have delay. We were just memeing, and Tisha just knew the final time, just making sure.
no, I actually guessed. All right, so Negold starting Moon. Negold is gonna get like 09, I would guess.
Yeah, at this point, and I think we have Aggy joining us already, finishing this one with a 105.08, pretty close to his PB. This Bowser's pretty much sealed the deal. You could have probably PB'd at this point. I'm not sure if Negold is aware of the fact that he actually needs to finish because he's heading into the Moon Cave as we speak. But yeah, GG's on the race, Aggy. Aggy?
Is he here?
Am I here?
He joined, yeah.
Am I here?
You're here. You're here, yeah.
Okay, sorry, mic issues. Yeah, so that got off to a really rough start, and then Bowser's obviously didn't go as planned, but overall, I guess I'm pretty happy. That was a decent time.
Yeah, you know, we were actually saying, like, in the middle of the run, I was saying, like, you were probably close to your PB because even though you made some mistakes, you know, the fact that you didn't have not clipping your PB, you know, I was feeling like it was probably pretty close. But, you know, then we started thinking about mistakes you made in the earlier and we weren't really sure, but then we actually checked the splits and we realized we were actually close to your PB.
Yeah.
So it got interesting.
Yeah, I was very close. On the seaside, I was plus 1-8, and then I was pretty much within 5 seconds until Bowser's.
To be honest,
Wow.
this run, in my opinion, still showed that you can currently probably still get a 103 without the wooded roll. It's going to be way harder than with just adding it. That's going to be a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
But if you think, like, I thought about some stuff, you didn't get left side the frog problems with the frog, and then you bonked after first FMS. I'm not trying to flame you here. I'm just saying that you still have a lot of windows to actually still improve your time without it. But once you add it, I'm pretty sure 103 is going to be on the horizon fairly soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think runs like this are eye openers for everyone. Really, like you didn't need to do everything perfect to get a good time in this game.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a big surprise to me that this could pull out to be such a good time with the mistakes.
Right. For sure. Yeah, and with time as you get more consistent, you know, getting times like this is gonna be really easy for you. You definitely like improved a lot for sure.
Yeah, I've been working on consistency a lot lately.
That's the key,
used to
man.
be a resetaholic, but I get more runs done these days, so
I know the feel for sure. So
But
Negold showing us why Moonscape is the biggest skip in the game.
Style points.
Yeah, imagine we actually needed to do this.
I mean, it's a pretty cool room. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Moonscape is also kind of cool.
So the room is fine, but there's like an awfully slow boss fight at the end. You actually refight Madame Brutal in this cave. That's something most people don't even know because literally no one does this room. Like this boss fight is actually skipped in, I think it's even skipped in all unique moons because it doesn't give you an actual moon when you beat when you beat this refight. I'm pretty sure. So it's literally nowhere. It's literally nowhere, this boss fight. But yeah.
Is it any different?
I think the change room is like 6 heads on or something ridiculous.
Yeah, she has more hats on the chomp.
But other than that, pretty much the same fight. But anyways, GG's on the race. I don't think Negold is going to be coming in. He's just going to be showing off his Moon Cave skills. We will be hosting the boy, Cheezo5 right now. Doing some hot SM64 attempts, so definitely throw in some clocks if you guys have them. LilAggy, thanks for joining this race. I'm gonna be looking forward to your tournament progress heading into that round 2, which is gonna be very exciting actually.
Yeah, versus Swisaiga, right?
Exactly.
That'll be an experience.
Is that the gold?
Yeah, what's up?
You're having fun on the Moon Cave?
Yeah.
What do you think about the race, man?
It was fun. I'm having fun in Moon Cave. I was like, I don't know. There was one like in Bowser, in like mid Bowser. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do Moon Cave. I don't really care.
Well, anyways, GG's. I'm sorry to cut you off right there, but we were actually about to introduce the host. Right now, we are gonna be hosting Cheese. He's doing a podcast with simply featuring Armada, the Smash legend. So have some fun over there, boys, and see you in the next one.
GG's.
See ya.